Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to you too. I know this is your day. This is your favorite holiday.
This is my favorite holiday. I was thinking about this, just like talking about doing a launch and on Valentine's Day and how much I love this day. And I'm like, it's not just this day though. It's like, I love this every day. And the fact that there's a day that celebrates like, we're just going to love each other and we're going to have like really pretty things around us to give to each other. I'm like, that's every day. But like when everybody else is like, okay, we're going to do this too. But like, let's make it every day. Let's like, you know, always celebrate each other every day and celebrate love every day. And like, to me, it's not about like relationship. It doesn't have to be about relationship. It's just about like celebrating life and celebrating beauty. And like, there have been plenty of times like I went through a breakup, like literally right before Valentine's Day, but I still like loved it. I still went and bought pink bubbly and got flowers for myself, like, and I loved it. It was great.
I love it. Well, and you know, having had many conversations with you, you know, romantic love is really beautiful, but like there are types of platonic love and creative love and special types of relationships that develop between creative people, between, you know, on a project basis. And, you know, like, especially the type of art that you create, there's also a really radical type of self-love that is really central to a lot of the work you do. And I think that's the thing that we don't talk about very much. We don't talk about self-love enough on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And not just stuff like, oh yeah, like, I don't know, like get you know, put some fuzzy slippers on and stay hydrated and stuff like that stuff.
No, like truly,
yeah,
self-love. Yeah. And I think that we'll probably get into this deeper, but I think that, you know, with my art and especially like this new series, my Muse series, is really about celebrating women and celebrating women seeing themselves and seeing their own beauty, and not just their physical beauty, but like being seen. And I really want to use my art to share that with women. Like, I see your beauty and I want you to see it. And I think that the response that I've had, and I would love for you to talk about your response to your piece of art, but is that women really do feel seen, and what that gives you on that, it's not just about the art itself, but that like someone else saw me and showed it back to me, and how that makes you feel internally is like, and I think that and we've talked about this before, that like my simple line work leaves so much to interpretation, that it's not, you know, in your face, that it gives women room to experience themselves however they see it through that. And I don't know, I love seeing the beauty and sharing that beauty so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we've got some really lovely people chiming in. Happy Valentine's Day, Jean. Thanks to everyone else who's hanging out as well. So Kara and I are doing this, we're doing this live stream because we have been working on a really amazing project together for the past couple of months, and it's really taken some unique forms. We first started communicating over Facebook, and I think that it was something to do with Con Elmo, which is a restaurant and jazz bar located in Pittsburgh that Kara and I both have really, really close ties to. And we sort of began communicating like that, and you reached out about wanting to create a website. So, you know, especially for someone like you know, the decision to create a website is not just like, it's not just a business thing, it's like a real indicator of a step forward. So would you mind talking a little bit about what your career sort of looked like in your relationship with your artistic career up until, I guess, the start of pandemic, because that's when it seems like things really began to change for you.
So when there's like 2 points that were pretty significant occurrences with my art, but so I guess to trace backwards, in actually July, August, I so this is like just post-pandemic, I guess. I made an intention to like do my art, like do it super hard, super focus on it, and dedicating specific time to it. And I was like, okay, like you know, I'm creating this interaction through Instagram and sharing my art and sharing like the photography art and my artwork and like telling this story, but like where do I go from here? And I knew that like we got each other just from that like Instagram world of like, I was like, I love this woman's vibe, I love how much she knows about music, like I know that she gets it, like if we get each other even without knowing each other, I was like, we get each other, like this woman is so cool. And then when you started your project like intentionally, and I saw you doing that, I was like, maybe she works with musicians, like maybe she'll be into working with me too. And you know, we talked, and I was like, I think a website's the next step, what do you think? You're like, yeah, like that's a great next step to carry it just beyond Instagram and share more of what I'm creating. So and we can talk more about the Spirit of Our Sisters series was really like what propelled my art into the world, but we can maybe talk about that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And it's funny because, you know, when you and I interact together, you feel like a person who I've known for a very, very long time. But I was sitting taking a survey of it the other day. I was like, I'm pretty sure the first time that Kara and I actually ever really talked was in like October of 2020. We have not known each other for that long, but you know, like you said, when you recognize that type of thing in someone else, it's very easy to authentically cultivate that type of connection. So, you know, and just considering everything that you have accomplished since October in the time that I have known you is just really overwhelming. You know, in only a good way. You know, we've talked about this, and oh, hi Angie. We've talked about this, and it seems like once you set that intention, things just sort of start happening, and you know, it kind of feels out of your control, and it feels like, you know, things are really accelerating at a really hyperactive pace, which again is only a good thing. But
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure within a week of us recording my first podcast episode, you were like, oh yeah, no, I'm like an artist in resident at Pultra. And then so like that came up, and then I was seeing all of these commissions you were doing, and then you're like, oh my God, I'm collabing with Malcolm, and like everything has just sort of seemed to blown up for you. And I'm really excited about that. So let's break down those opportunities a little bit. Do you want to start by telling me a little bit about your partnership with Pultra?
Yeah. So, and this also, I have to say, like, our connection, I had this vision of working with women in my mind, about doing these pieces. And when you and I talked about my art and that you would like a piece and everything, and I would reach out to you, like, that's great. If you want a piece of my art, I love that. I would be happy to give you whatever you like. But like, would you be open to me painting you? Like, send me some pictures, you know? And your response to it was so positive and so beautiful and so inspiring to me that you felt so good about being seen in that way, that I was like, yes, this is like the confirmation that for me, you know. So I wanted to create that feeling in more women, you know. And so Pultra, all of these things kind of came together. Pultra, they do artist in residence, and you know, you're like in their window, in their lingerie, making art, and to me it's like a dream world, right? And so met Helen Hoey is the owner of Pultra, an amazing supportive woman too. Like, I love this, like, you know, support system of artists and women and everything. But we hit it off and connected, and she was like, yeah, let's do this. Of course, it is a pandemic and people aren't going out into the world, but we did have some really successful events where, you know, sitting in the window and doing their painting. And I just saw women really open up, like, get into this space, and like, we're sort of fearless and bold and brave and like undressing so I could paint them right in this
the window.
It's like, and to inspire that like strength in women, to me, like I was so happy. Like, I was happy creating, I was happy that they were happy, and then I give them their painting and they're, you know, so joyed of being seen. It just was this whole cycle. And so that the Pultra events happened, which I had been wanting to do, like private events and go into people's homes and painting. And so that evolved into doing the like commission work, and you know, hard to go into people's homes and people aren't having parties right now. So I'm like, I would love to do that. But you know, women are, instead of being in person, sending me their photographs, and I'm painting them, like, you know, remotely from MySpace, and getting the paintings to them that way. So the live events have tapered off from Pultra, but the spirit of that is still going on. So that, yeah, that was a super great collaboration as well, and it was an opportunity.
And before I forget to talk about this, because for me personally, it's something I really want to talk about. But you know, when we discussed doing an original painting for me, it was so surprising. And I just, in retrospect, I'm not quite sure why this was so surprising to me. But when you offered, you know, I want to paint something of you, if you're comfortable with that, something about it just took me so aback, but not in a negative way. And I remember it was really funny because I was like, well, I have these pictures that I do feel like really good about myself in, but like, they might, you know, they might make other people feel a little uncomfortable. And you were like, no. Like, you just were so reassuring. And, you know, like, that was one of the scariest things I've ever done. I've done a lot of really stupid things in my life, a lot of scary things in my life. But that was one of the scariest things. And I don't know if it was because like, oh my gosh, I'm sending these pictures to someone I don't know, or oh my gosh, I'm sending these pictures to another woman. And there's like this inherent competitiveness that's sort of, you know, engendered in all of us. But, you know, your response to that was just so warm and so respectful. And like, even in that moment before I saw what you had done with the pictures, I was so assured. I felt just the real warmth radiating in my chest. I was like, okay, no, like this is all in a safe space. Like pictures are in a safe space. I'm in a safe space. Like whatever comes of this is going to be something that's safe.
Yes.
And, you know, when I finally saw the end products, it was something that made me feel really safe, but it was still really radical in a sense, if that is, you know.
Yeah. It's like stepping outside of your boundaries. Like,
Yeah.
And like other women that I have worked with, it's kind of been a similar initial reaction of like, I've never done this before. I'm a little bit afraid. I'm a little afraid to like, you know, expose myself in this way, but I want to be brave enough to do it. And then when I get like, I'll usually send sketches back and then send like the final piece images back. And every time they were like, I was so afraid, but oh my God, like this is so beautiful. I'm like, wow, like I can't believe you see me in this way. And I love that because like now each like you or me or each of those women is like the next time that something comes up, they're like, I can do it.
I'm gonna do it.
Like I got it. You know, I mean I hope so. Like to me, like I feel like every time we break down a barrier of fear, it expands us to be able to like move into the next thing braver and bolder and you know new projects, new collaborations, whatever. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's interesting because I have friends who do a lot of like boudoir and body modeling and stuff like that. And, you know, it's different. There's something very different about it. I mean, it is a similar type of expression, but there's an alternative vulnerability that comes with that. It's like you are under scrutiny in the sense that you are being watched and you are being studied for long amounts of time where you are the subject of a painting. You know, which is not to delegitimize, you know, it's not to delegitimize boudoir or photography
no, that's
in any sense at all.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I think they're both components of a really good proactive plan of just celebrating the self. If you're comfortable with that kind of thing. But it was a really sobering experience because, you know, I've talked with friends who have struggled with, you know, disordered eating behaviors and whatnot in the past. And with certain things like this, it's not always easy to predict how you're going to react to seeing that type of media. And, you know, so whenever we were working together and you had started my painting, I was like, oh man, you know, I don't really know what this is going to unlock. I think it's going to be a good thing. But then whenever I got your final renderings back, it just was the most freeing thing in the world. It was just, and it was an indicator for me in a lot of ways. It was an indicator that I had grown in that sense. And it was an indicator that it's like, no, it's okay to feel good about yourself. It's good to feel good about yourself. You know, maybe you can't feel that way all the time, but you know, if you can hold on to that every once in a while.
Yeah, and you can tap back into it because you know you got in that space before.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, like you said, your style really lends itself to that because it is minimalist and because it's abstract in a sense. It's like, okay, I can make my relationship with this whatever I need it to be or whatever I want it to be, because there's not all of these extra trappings that are kind of forcing me to feel one way or the other about it. It's interpretive, but it provides a framework that, you know, makes the environment navigable, and not very intimidating. So, you know, I obviously have very strong feelings about your work, and you know, and I think this is so funny, and this is probably my biggest flex, but my mom absolutely loved the episode of the podcast that we recorded together, and she was like, "Oh my god, like I ordered this pancake from
So
McKenna."
cute.
And so, so when my mom was like, "Oh yeah, like I reached out to Kara and like I wanted to support a small business and I wanted to support one of your clients," I just was like, "Oh, Liddy, oh, that's my mother. That's my mother."
She was so sweet.
Oh. And she had a really interesting relationship with the piece that she had commissioned too. You know, she had a very strong reaction to it in a way that was very different from mine, but she also had a very strong reaction. So it's beautiful that people across the board have been giving similar feedback and have been having similar relationships.
Yeah.
With it.
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's been such a like I seeing this vision that I had manifesting, and just even like we were talking about like from the like in the beginning, just rolling and specifically setting those intentions to create and do it really hard. And now, like in the midst of it, I'm like, holy cow! Like I don't even know if I can keep up with what I'm manifesting here. But like I'm going, and I'm going. I'm not saying no to any opportunities that the universe is putting in front of me, because I asked for it, and like I'm like, okay, I'm open to receiving. Send it my way. I can do it. I can take it on. I can handle it. And my intentions are 2021. I set as art, abundance, and collaboration. And even being in the midst of some crazy pandemic, it is happening, and it's just amazing. And you know, like the collaboration with you and going forward, the collaboration with Pultra going forward, the collaboration with the muses from my new series, the collaboration with Malcolm Xavier for the piece that we created together, which is going out today.
For everybody on the chat right now, it is stunning. It is absolutely stunning. And Malcolm and Kara are both doing limited edition, like limited run prints of the original, and they are so stunning. So like, please hang out and get yours, because they are so gorgeous. I cannot.
Yeah, that was it was incredible. Hopefully there will be a lot more of this kind of.
Well, and it's interesting, because when you first told me you were working with Malcolm, I was not familiar with Malcolm's work. We're talking about Malcolm Xavier, who's a really, really astute visual artist from Pittsburgh. You know, I was not hip to his work, and whenever I started checking his stuff out, I was like, wow, you know. And in my mind, it's not that I was having a difficult time rationalizing or, you know, reasoning,
like seeing how it was going to come together.
Yeah, but I was just super intrigued by it, because it was like, okay, you know, Malcolm's signature thing, at least from my standpoint, is he utilizes this beautiful gold paint.
Yeah.
And just like that part of it, I was just like, that's so intriguing. That is so intriguing. So tell us a little bit about how you and Malcolm, you know, started contacting each other. You know, the Instagram world is a very small world in some ways, but you know, and sort of how you thought this collaboration would go, and where, you know, the final product met with your expectations.
I am not exactly sure how Malcolm and I found each other. I think it's because I love artists supporting artists. And I had 2 pieces of my Spirit of Our Sister series in an exhibit. And there was another Pittsburgh artist, Corey. He goes by, I think it's like at Corey the Artist. And he also does a beautiful, like the gold foil, but he does charcoal. And he had one of his charcoal drawings up in the same exhibit that I was showing my work in. And I just was like, kept going back to it, kept looking at it. I was like, she has to come home with me. Like I was like in love with this portrait. And so I started, you know, we talked, and I started following his work. And I think that's somehow how I found Malcolm. And then, you know, just like how you vibe with somebody, we, you know, started appreciating each other's work, and, you know, getting into more conversation. And then just like over time, which also is like a very short period of time.
Right.
We were like, hey, I think he was just like, hey, do you want to do a collaboration piece? Like, yes, yes, I do. So, he was talking about wanting to do this new red and gold, and he was like, I think this would be great with like your website launching on Valentine's Day. I think this would like totally tie into that. Like, and he showed me some of the canvases that he made. So he starts out with acrylic paint, does like his, like as simple as my work is, his is so dynamic and bright. So he started out with his background, and then he usually does like collage and the gold foil, and then he does the pour over that is like beautiful and shiny and seals it all in. So we exchanged a piece. He did the background. I did one of my women over at gave it back to him. He did the gold. We were gonna collage, and then it was just like, that's gonna be too much. It's gonna lose part of what it, like the story that it's telling. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and he sent me the pictures of the finished piece, and I was like, wow, like look what we did. Like,
it is so
amazing. So I'm super excited. It's so I don't think I've ever worked with another artist like that. Like, you do, I do, and we'll like come back together like that. It was super fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And the piece is called Magic, and I really like, you folks need to see it. It's so exciting.
Later today.
When you sent me the pictures, I was like, I am going to have a stroke trying not to show this to everyone that I've ever met. It is so beautiful.
Yeah, this is why I love you, the most supportive woman.
It's fantastic, and I do think that everyone's gonna love it. And it really is it is in the spirit of your day. It is in the spirit of Valentine's Day that should just saying. But no, I think that's a really adaptive way of working together. And I am curious sort of what that process might have looked like outside of COVID. If both of you had been in the same room together, what that piece would have looked like, how it would have been different. But it complements each other so much. The components that he added, the components that you added. I think it's so perfect and sublime. And I really hope that you two get to work together again in the future, because
yeah, me too.
Yeah, this first project was just so powerful, and I love it so much. I'm a little biased, but
you're definitely biased.
Just a touch. So if you could collaborate with any artist that you're following right now, or your dream collaboration, who would your collaborator be?
Wow.
I'm putting you on the spot.
For real. Can I come back around to that?
Yeah, of course you can.
Of course you can.
Yeah, it's not like I did not drop an easy question on your head. I should have put it outline. But like, I don't know. I see your work, and especially with the addition of Malcolm's super colorful canvas, I'm just like, I want to see this on buildings. Like, I want to see this on the entire.
Wow.
Like, I want to see this on the brick face of a theater. You know what I mean?
When I see artists, because I feel like Pittsburgh is all of a sudden getting a lot of huge murals on buildings. And when I see people working in that large of a creation, because like I'm creating, it's in front of me, but to wrap your head around like creating that huge image would be like a whole another, step out into like how your mind wraps around that. I have so much respect for that kind of art. Mm-hmm. And that would be amazing. I would love to do that. As soon as we get off here, I'm going to message Malcolm.
Yeah. Hey, let's go tag a building, my guy. Yeah, and especially where you live, because there's so many beautiful wall murals in the north side. Like right around the corner from your house is the beautiful Mac Miller mural near James Street.
Yeah.
The Roberto Clemente mural on the other side. So, and we've talked about this before, but just sort of the way that your neighborhood environment impacts the way that you create art. And now it makes perfect sense to me. It's like, oh yeah, no, of course she's in the North Side. Like that's the vibe. That's the vibe.
Love the North Side.
Oh,
Yeah.
I cannot wait to live there. Cannot wait to live there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your muse exhibit. I'm very excited about that, and I'm excited to hear more about it because when you said you were collaborating with Thoughts Robbers, I don't really know too much about them. It was the first time that I'd heard of the gallery. So tell me a little bit about that. Tell me about all of that.
Yeah. So I met Thought Robbers because another artist, Rachel Toxic is her Instagram. She was having an exhibit there last summer, and I met one of the owners. It's a husband and wife team, and they're a beautiful little girl too. She hangs out. She's their artist in residence. So I went to this show for Rachel, who does amazing, super cool collage work as well, and just started talking to them, and they were new. Like they had been out west, and they had just opened. I want to say like now maybe they've been open like a year, maybe a little more than that, and they are doing shows like that are running like maybe just like instead of like a whole month, they're like running like about 2 weeks or so at a time. So to try to get more artists exposure, like, it's great if your work is out for a month, but well, especially now, hardly anyone's going into a gallery. But mostly their opening nights are like when it all happens. So they're getting a lot more artists seen and exposed with the style that they're, showing. So we talked in the summer, early fall, and didn't know what was going on with COVID and how this is all gonna like pan out. But so we said March, like hoping that, we could do inside and outside and people can move around the space. But they're amazing, super supportive, great couple. And I knew that when the show that like I have my pieces that are like on the website and everything, and those that I've been creating. But I wanted it to be something like special. Like I wanted it to be something that like hit me harder, like that, and then in turn, hopefully other people as well. But and this ties into like that, your piece and working with Pulsha and working with women. I was like thinking of this like muse, like, and seeing the women and how they inspire me to create. And I, like the Instagram world is so connective, and like Pittsburgh is so connected. It's really like, I think we talked about this before. It's really like it's like a city, but small town.
Oh, yeah.
People. Like everybody knows somebody that somebody knows, or probably multiple people in some way. So anyway, like I started following some different like just like women creatives in Pittsburgh, and that I was inspired by, what they were doing and creating. And I had this idea. I was like, I'm gonna reach out to these women and see if they'll let me paint them. I'm like with you, but at least like, we knew each other, like,
yeah,
communicated. I'm literally like, this woman is cool. I'm gonna ask her if she wants to be part of the series. So I just started reaching out, and before I sent that first message, I was so nervous. Like, I'm like, they're either gonna be like, this is cool, amazing, I want to be part, or like, you're a creep. Like, no, I'm not sending you pictures.
I'm sending you pictures of me.
But the response mostly was like, because I was like, hey, I'm doing this project. I want to show the beauty that I see in you back to you. And if you want to be a part, like, and we mostly had followed each other. So everybody could probably see like the kind of work that I do. And the response was like, I love it. I'm in. I think I know a couple other women that like might want to be part of this too.
Amazing.
And there was still that aspect of like a little bit of fearfulness. Like a lot of the women are like, I've never done anything like this before, but like I want to do it. And some people will send like their like a selfie that they took for their boyfriend, or some people like did a specific shoot just to send to me like on their own, and some people sent me like work that they did with other photographers. So it was like across the board. It was like all different like styles of sending these pictures, and I left it up to everybody to be like, you know, you can send a nude, you can send a clothes, like whatever your comfort level is, like be safe in that space of what you want to share. And it's just been amazing, like we were talking about that, overcoming that fear and then seeing the finished result and being like, wow, like you know, I've been so like hard on my own body, but I see how you painted me and I just feel so beautiful, like, and it's just been amazing. Like that's exactly what I wanted to achieve. That's what I wanted to do. I want you to feel seen, and I want you to feel beautiful. And I keep having this thought pop in my head. Leaving it up to them. It'll come back around. I don't know what I thought I wanted to say about that, but oh, the music. I wanted, like, I didn't ask for any particular. I just said, send me a photo that shows the lines of your body. It can be whatever you want it to be. And it was really cool because I love that, like, the muse got to be part of the creation. Like, they got to choose how they were seen and show themselves. So it was like a collaborative effort that they had input on the creation as well. So the project has been, so the opening night is March 6th, and so the project is in the works. I'm still like doing the drawings and the paintings, and I can't wait to have like all of these amazing, beautiful, creative women like come together in this space. Like, I just can't imagine the energy that's going to be going on in that room that night. Like,
well, it's funny because whenever you told me that this exhibit was happening, first of all, I was so excited about it, but I happened to be watching a documentary that night and we might have talked about her before, this amateur music historian named Pamela DeBar. And she was like the foremost groupie on the scene in the Sunset Strip in the 1970s. And she took a camera with her everywhere. She has just the most insane photos that she's taken that really portray groupie culture and, you know, just these interactions between these groupies and musicians. But like 10 years ago, she did this exhibit where she invited all of these groupies that were in these 50-year-old portraits back. And they all had this event in Los Angeles, and they all were just like, you know, we're like, oh my God, like, look at what I'm wearing there. Like, look at how my body looks there. And it was like this very empowering environment, like in a way that just was not something that I could have really comprehended before. But so like that in conjecture with me finding out about this exhibit on the same night, I was like, oh, it all makes sense now. And I thought the same thing. It's like, oh my God, I would love to be in the room with the women who agreed to this, just to see how all of us would interact with each other. I think it'd be a really beautiful experience, and I'm very much looking forward to when that can happen, when all of this is sort of under a bit more control. So
yeah, wear your mask.
wear your damn mask. Oh, that's amazing. That's so wonderful. And, you know, like you said, there is something really empowering about like, no, I'm going to choose the image that is seen, the image that's portrayed. You know, and it's complicated because I think that for a lot of women, especially whenever it comes to the subject of nude pictures, it can be such a violation of privacy. And there's so much of that if those photos get out, it's, you know, it's a real violation, and you've been invaded in some way. But this is sort of the opposite, where it's like, nope, I'm choosing when, I'm choosing what, choosing by which means, you know. So it's really interesting, and I think it's good not only for the subjects and for the muses, but also just the conversation surrounding women being comfortable with nudity, and that it's not something that we should be ashamed of. And if it's something that we want to put out in the world, we can do that, and we can still be you know, we can still be professional.
Yeah.
You know, it's not,
I
nudity is
think
not.
like creating a safe space to um, experience that for ourselves and each of these women, like myself, each of these women involved, and that we are making a choice in how we're seen and what we show. And, you know, I think that there's so much of that. There's so much like shaming sometimes that happens, like when women are like, oh, like she's this or that, like, and looked at in a negative way. But in the meantime, there's so much nudity and exposure and all this stuff. So it's like if somebody else says it's okay, then okay, you know, for whatever it is, if it's like on TV and television or porn or whatever, if somebody else chooses whatever. But like if a woman chooses to expose herself, then like, oh, she's a slut. She's trashy or she's this or she's that. And like I think that making a choice is like, it is empowering, and I want to create that safe space for women to be seen and feel good about themselves and their bodies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, I mean, absolutely mission accomplished. I mean, just from my perspective, you know, and you know, I'm interested in, you know, I've not really talked about this particular aspect with a lot of people, but you know, just how people who are close to these muses feel about, you know, about what sort of revelations come from your work and how their approaches to nudity and sex positivity and body positivity have changed or not changed as the result of coming into contact with your art. You know, but I mean, how has your relationship with body and sex positivity changed since you've been working on this stuff so actively as of late?
How has it changed? I I think that my relationship, um, you know, has been like, to my body has been, you know, evolving over a lifetime, and as we all are. Um, I think that for me, being intentional about my art and like telling this story through social media, like creating the Instagram for my Linston, and that is a representation of my art. So using photography, working with different Pacific photographers, and sharing my art, it has allowed me to grow into a much larger comfort level. Like I like created the hugest safe space around myself to be able to share and be open with. I think like I created that space so other people can like enter it and feel good about their sharing as well. Like I've spoken to women, they're like, wow, like you're so brave to like post those kind of pictures that you post. And then like they're like, I did a shoot once, but like I just like keep them in my bedroom. I'm like, but they're not, they're, and they're like, I just look at them sometimes. Like this was like one conversation I had, like I just look at them sometimes, and I'm like, oh my god, like hang them up, like enjoy yourself, look at them, right? Like you're beautiful, you did this beautiful photo shoot, like enjoy yourself. Mm-hmm. So I think that like I've learned to enjoy myself and my body, and created like almost like we were talking about Valentine's Day and like romance and love and all these different types of things, like almost like a romance with myself. Like I'm so entertained. Like you know what I mean? Like it's like I might just put on different lingerie all day long because I can. Like I don't know, maybe I'll just change. So I think that I just have evolved into being so comfortable, and I feel like other people have in turn been able to share because they feel where I've come to. Like I just did a collaboration with a friend yesterday for a photo shoot, and he had an injury, and he is an artist, and was feeling very vulnerable because this injury was on his hand, and had gone through, and so not only has a physical scar from it on the outside, but what happened internally when he was afraid that he wasn't going to be able to create. He's a musician, he's a painter, he does leather work. All of these things are not only like livelihood, they're also like creative passion. And so like going through the process of like, I might not be able to do this thing, and having that fear, he is healing now, but he wanted to do a photo shoot that exposed that, like the wound, and tell the story of that change that happens from being wounded and who you are before that happens, and then who you are after you've gone through this experience, and to portray that through photography. So we worked together, and just the level of, I first of all was so flattered that he reached out to me to help tell this story, and that like very heavy feeling. And we like collaborated on these amazing pieces, but just what we created in that space, and they will come out at some point in the near future. He felt safe with me to share that story and to do this collaboration, and I was like, this is all coming together. So my journey has been evolved into just a huge like comfort level with myself, and sharing, and wanting to share that experience with other people, women and men too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's important to remember, and your work just, and you as a person seem to embody this, but you know, we can access safe spaces wherever we go. It doesn't need to be conditional. There are sometimes, obviously, when certain conditions help, but we're capable of going into that headspace whenever we do.
Yeah, accessing that energy. I do these Shakti warrior workouts, and they're amazing, and they combine like belly dance and meditation and yoga, and they're so inspiring. But when the woman who guides these is bringing in this like Shakti energy, this like strong warrior woman energy, and you're feeling it because you're like moving and dancing and like, you know, like embodying the Shakti energy. And one of the things that she says is, feel this feeling that you have access to this at any time. You can access this at any time. And I'm like, yes. Like, I love that. That's exactly what you're saying. It's like, once you create that and you found it, you can get back to it and access it at any time. Doesn't have to be any external circumstance once you find it in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
And I think that's subliminally a reason that I am, and a lot of people are really attracted to your paintings, because it is exactly that. It's like, oh yeah, no, here's what it is. Here's the form of the thing. Like, you don't need the extra stuff. Like this is like the very visceral thing that you need to connect to other people and connect to yourself. And, you know, you have that. You don't have the distractions, and you don't have all that extra baggage, you know? So it's very interesting. I've worked with a lot of artists before, but as far as like personal philosophies and just like everyday practices, like you are so in sync in all of those aspects of your life. There's so much balance, and like, you know, it's just very inspiring for me to observe from the outside, because it's like, no, that's how I want to be. But, like, I'm way too chaotic for that. But it's great to see it in other people. And, you know, I've learned so much from you. You know, I was, you know, telling another client yesterday that like, I'm the luckiest person in the world, because all of my clients teach me something. Like, I am a much more evolved, much more whole person as the result of, you know, coming into contact with people like you in different disciplines. You know, and so you know, your presence is a gift, your work is a gift, your talent is a gift. And, you know, I'm glad that you are able to feel some of the positive things that come out of the result of those gifts that you give other people.
Thank you. And I think like with your work, like I think that when you become intentional about what you want to do, like you're going, like uh, I made, I'm super intentional about, I try to be super intentional about everything in life. And when I decided like, I'm going to do my art, I'm going to do it hard, I'm going to collaborate with people. And I feel like you did the same thing. Like you decided like, I'm going to do freelance, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to, work with such and such and such people. Like you brought that into your life. You brought these amazing people to be your teachers into your life. And I love, like we were talking about the connections that people have, like you and I, how long we've known each other, but like how it feels like it's been forever. And I was just having this conversation with a friend last night, and she was like, we just met like less than a year ago, and I feel like I've known you, like I've never not known you. And I think that when you're purposeful of who you bring into your life, you have those experiences because you're like, yeah, I remember you. Or like, because you're like operate, you're coming from that space that um, that is intentional about what energies you want around you and who you want around you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think people like that just sort of gravitate towards each other.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that
We find each other.
Yeah, I think
find each other's light.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it.
Yes.
Once you start being a little bit more committed to the version of yourself you want to be, like those things just sort of happen. And
yes,
you
absolutely.
really, you effortlessly meet people who are similarly determined and similarly stubborn and similarly ideological. And, and of course, people can say that can be problematic in and of itself. But, I think that you and I are so energy motivated that it's like, oh, when something comes that easily, or when a connection comes very readily, there's something to that. And I think it's worth exploring. So, the older that I get and the more time that I spend around people who are creative and authentic to that creativity, the better things seem to go, the more sense things seem to make. It feels like I'm not always fighting gravity when I'm around people like that. But yeah, and I think that this has been a really great conversation. And I think for people who were not necessarily super hip to, your work or what you were about, have a really good idea now. And I'm really happy with the work that we did on your website, because I think it very much gets to the heart of who you are. I think it really starts as a good platform to establish that safe space that you're talking about and really working to engineer.
Well, talking about being seen, like I feel like you saw me and you like we created this thing together, and the video that you made, I was like, Mackenzie gets it. Like if I could have dreamt up how I would like, well, I couldn't even have dreamt up how I wanted to tell that story. And when I saw that video, I was like, yes, this is like, yes, like this is everything. Yeah. But yeah, I felt seen when we created this. Like you just got it, and I feel like it is simple, but it tells a story, and it invites people into my little world that I'm trying to create.
Absolutely. And just to give folks an idea of what the layout of the thing looks like, we had tried to go through and do like a really beautiful OBS presentation, but the technologies are great when they work. So you'll have to, a walkthrough via Instagram Live will have to suffice for now. But the website includes all sorts of things, you know, a little bit more information on your collaborations with Malcolm and with Pultra, where you guys can access that really amazing video that I'm really happy with, and that Kara was just absolutely effervescent in. We collaborated with a really wonderful Los Angeles-based musician called Actius, who is originally from Pittsburgh. We met whenever we were students at university together. And he now does these really luscious soundscapes out in Los Angeles. So just the fact that we were able to connect, and it was really funny because, you know, I remember whenever we were putting that together, that video, I reached out to you and was like, hey, like, what are you listening to these days? And I think that you told me like it was like Erykah Badu and The Roots and Nina Simone or something like that. And so I hit Carson up and was just like, hey, can you like do this thing? He's like, oh yeah, no, like give me a weekend. And just like came back with that. He's like, is this okay? Yeah, no, it's perfect. Thanks. So yeah, so that video I do recommend, not just because I made it, but I do recommend checking it out, because it does showcase not only Kara's wonderful gifts and abilities, but also some really beautiful sound making talent from Actius that is really, really worthwhile. And also it really does showcase some of the most beautiful pieces at Pultra. Some of their work there is so beautiful. All of the lace, like it's all just so tasteful. So there's something for everyone is basically. So you can find more on those collaborative efforts. You can see some images from the photo gallery. A lot of those photos were contributed by my assistant, Loki Summerisle. Her work is just, you know, it is stunning in and of itself. So I'm just, you know, realizing now as we're talking about this, how many collaborative aspects there are on just the website. And I'm just like, oh, we did that.
Yeah.
That's the thing we did.
Art, abundance, and collaboration. That's 2021.
You're making it happen. And there are also links to inquiry pages if you'd like to do individual quotes with L'Instant, you know, for private events or, you know, like whenever you were talking about doing, what's that?
I said, let me paint you. Reach out to me.
So I remember when you came to me and you're like, I want to do bridal parties. I was like, oh shit, that would be the most fun bridal party ever. So book her for some
forget those games and all that stuff that you play, or bachelorette parties.
Yeah.
Or
No. Be real. Be the realist. Book a session. Yeah, and you can also keep up to date on some general news items. We have information about the Thought Robbers Gallery exhibit on the homepage of the site. I guess it would be helpful if we said the name of the site. The site is
like we talked about it for an hour. We didn't even talk about the website.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, super exclusive. The website is linstantart.com. That's LINSTANT art.com. Again, you can use it. You can access it through Instagram. That website will also connect you to Kara's Instagram if you haven't seen it yet, but I'm assuming you have if you're on the Instagram live. So is there anything else you wanted to add about the website, my love, or anything at all?
I thought of who I want to collaborate with for art, and I'm gonna just
tell me.
leave it out into space, but like manifest and put it out there. I connected with an artist who is a musician, and so I'm going to tie this back to you because you had once, I think maybe on the podcast we talked about this, about how my work left things up to interpretation, and you drew it back into jazz music and how jazz music doesn't have lyrics and leaves so much open to interpretation. And so a musician said that they wanted to create, and you know, how do you go about that? I'm like, you just get paint and you start painting, you know, you don't have to have training or anything, like let's do it. So more to come.
Yes.
Turning music into art.
I love that. I think that's going to be great. And
yes.
your work is so multidisciplinary as is, and you really are a multidisciplinarian, if not in practice, then certainly in your interests. And so I think that's going to be great. I think it's going to be, I'm really looking forward to it. Now I'm very intrigued. But again, you know, like I am obviously like totally unbiased. You know, if my reaction to the collaborative piece with Malcolm is any indication. So before we close this chat up, Kara, how can people access that? You know, how can people place orders for prints for that collaborative piece with Malcolm?
Oh, so Malcolm and I are gonna be, I mean, I think reach out through IG for now. I'm gonna drop that later today, so please watch for it. So for now, I think through IG, like message me. Malcolm, it has his limited run and I have mine, so you can reach out to either one of us. He is Malcolm Xavier 7 on Instagram. He has a website too, so yeah, keep an eye. It's coming today.
Mm-hmm. And again, just in case, I don't think this is the case, but what is your Instagram handle in case anybody doesn't already know it?
Linstant _art, LINSTANT _art.
Amazing. All right. Thank you so much, Kara. Did you have anything that you wanted to add?
Thank you. I just want to thank you. You're amazing. I have been on cloud 9. I just been so excited, like with the everything going on, the website launch, collaborating with Malcolm, the Muse Women, and the show coming up with Thought Robbers. And I the other night, I just was like, I am so grateful. I feel like I'm living in my dream life, and it's just gonna keep going. It's just gonna keep going because I set those intentions out there, and I see that support coming in, and so I'm super grateful to you. And I just want to say thank you. The website is out. It's amazing.
We did it.
Yeah. So thank you.
Well, thank you for your appreciation. And, you know, like you and I have been saying, I think it's only the beginning. I think there are going to be a lot of really amazing.
What else is possible?
Yeah. And, you know, like, and we've had this conversation over coffee and rose water before, but it's like, you know, like it is really important to take that time to appreciate, like, oh yeah, like where I'm at now, like me a year ago could not have conceived of this. This is where I wanted to be, and now I'm here, and the person I'm going to be.
And stopping to appreciate it. Yeah,
exactly. So like, you know, that's what I'm going to need to work on, because I'm not super great about living in the moment in that sense. So I'm going to take some time to enjoy what we've done, because I think it is really beautiful, and I think it's really emblematic of who you are, and you know, that type of authenticity is something that should be applauded. But like you said, it can be a little bit exhausting. Like once you've put this much love in this much effort, it doesn't hurt to rest a little bit.
Yeah.
So but yeah,
let's take this Valentine's Day and enjoy and rest and absorb.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I hope everyone out there has enough lingerie that they could change into every hour if it feels so inclined.
Yes.
I want that for all of you.
Love it.
Awesome.
Thanks.
All right.
Lindsay.
Thank you so much, Kara. Thank you for taking time out of your morning to sit down and talk too.
Absolutely.
All right. All of my love. Happy Valentine's Day to you, my dear.
Bye,
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.